Team of 2 other people who I met building the Misconnections app. And this was the end of 2013, so we said, okay, we're going to give ourselves to Valentine's Day, right? We're going to give ourselves 4 to 5 weeks, and whatever we have, we're going to put out the announcement to the world, and if not, it's going to be time to go get real jobs again. So this is what the app looked like when we launched it to the world. And then, have you guys heard of Medium? Oh my God, College of Journalism, you guys haven't heard of Medium. So Medium is this amazing publishing platform where if you push out a blog post, it goes to not just people you know, but people who are interested in those themes and categories. So I basically pitched my vision of the future of online dating in this Medium post, and it went viral. It really changed my life, to be completely honest. First Mashable picked it up, then Refinery29, Bull Italic, Fast Company, Vogue. It was one of those things where it was just this crazy snowball effect. And it was really validating and exciting for so many failed projects. People actually wanted what we were building. And then we raised some monies from some investors and venture capitalists, like Google Ventures. And what better way to celebrate than with tacos? Okay, so we finally had some cash to build a real team, and the rest of my team quit their jobs, and we really started to zero in on the problem that we were solving. And if there are any planners in the room, this is the kind of stuff that you probably geek out on. At least this is the stuff that I geek out on. So the idea is when you have 2 people, one person is normally approaching the other person. So if you think of the typical bar scenario, if I'm approaching you at the bar, I have zero context. So I can either say, hey, what's up? Can I buy you a drink? Or I can try to be really cute and funny and approach you that way. And really what we learned is that most people tend to feel overwhelmed when getting approached, even if they're flattered, that it's not natural, and it tends to come off in a really awkward phase, and everybody loses. So the question we started to ask ourselves is, through Instagram, can we add some context to that conversation? And really get people talking. So in New York, I know this is popular. I'm curious to talk with some of you afterwards here. But a lot of these other dating apps are really good at connecting you, but nothing really happens after that. Right? And really the world doesn't move forward in that fashion. And if you think about it, it's 2 people in an empty room with nothing to talk about. Of course it's going to be really awkward. And I'm sure some of you have gotten funny interviews.
Oh my God.
So really our mission from a product design standpoint is, can we get people talking, right? Nobody else really gets the conversation going. Can we do that? If we can do that, we're probably doing something interesting. And if not, we probably have to rethink this a little bit. So we launched V2 later that year, and it was starting to look a little bit better, right? Remember back to a few slides ago what it looked like the first iteration. We're finally getting the hang of what this was like and what this experience was like, and the numbers started going up as well. Then this past November, we launched V3 of the product, which had this really cool feature where both of us have been to the same place, if both of us have tagged a photo at the same museum or the same music festival or same local bar or coffee shop that we liked, we introduce those people through that connection, which makes it really compelling to be able to say hello, and really easy along the same lines. And then what we found out is this is really working, right? Month over month, this is our growth when it comes to messages sent, and photos actually are really effective icebreakers. So really, I guess, where does that leave us now? We're getting set to launch a brand new site called Me and You, which is being used as a marketing vehicle for Glimpse, which basically takes that idea of photo matching, if both of us have been to the same place, and does that with strangers. Can we build that on the web for people you know? So Facebook is really good at telling you if you have mutual friends, but nothing really does the same thing with Instagram or really any of your photos if any of you have been to the same places with all the data that's behind that. And we're getting set to launch a brand new version coming out in March. Cool. So I guess that's my journey in terms of closing the taste gap. So I guess here's a little bit of advice. Take it again with a grain of salt. I'm just learning what I'm doing as well. So be an experimenter, not an expert. I think there's a lot of pressure with the internet, especially now. Everybody should know exactly what they're doing and be an expert and be really good at it. My advice would be to look at it as being a scientist, and it's a complete experiment. You don't know anything, and you're just trying to prove things right or wrong. Show the world how much they should believe in you. Whether you're trying to recruit people to be able to work with you on a team, be able to find a mentor to be able to help you, or even trying to promote this to a group of people. I think the better you get at showing the world how much you care, the more they believe in you. And this was a really cool example of this student that was at UPenn, who I think 3 or 4 years ago made this site called Dear Instagram, of why she wanted to work for Instagram. And it ended up going viral, and she didn't get a job there, but she ended up getting a job at Dropbox, which is one of the best companies to work at over on the West Coast. And she failed, and it didn't work out for her. She never landed at Instagram, but she built her personal brand and was able to tell that story, and people saw how passionate she was about design. So another thing, at least that I try to remind myself every day to push myself closer to that taste level, is do things that scare you and that really, really scare you. So for instance, next week I'm giving a talk in front of 1,500 people, right? Like, not looking forward to that, going to be awful, but pushing yourself to continually do things that you're not comfortable doing, kind of like Ira was talking about. I think that gives you more reps, and then also gives you the courage to take bigger and bigger swings. Track your progress. So has anybody here heard of TimeHop or used TimeHop? So for those who haven't heard of it, TimeHop is amazing. It basically tells you through your social networks what you were doing a year, 2 years, 3 years ago. So I would say if you're not on this app, or even if you are, look at it every day and say, am I not embarrassed of myself a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago? I look at my tweets from 4 or 5 years ago, I'm like, who is that kid? What? So I think the idea of tracking your progress, and something that I've started doing, at least for the last 6 months, is writing every Friday. I think keeping a journal every day for me is way too much. But this idea of what went right and what went wrong this week and what do I want to do is really, really helpful, and also really, really fun to be able to look back on. And then lastly, keep going, even when your work sucks. Some of the most successful people that I know now continually churn out stuff and hate it, but I think it's all with this idea that, like, if you can get to that 10,000 hours that Malcolm Gladwell talks about, or to this idea of where your ability meets your sense of taste, I think it's all just born from this idea of not quitting and seeing your iterations and being able to keep going even when your work isn't quite there yet. So that's all I have today. If you're looking for an internship, we're going to start doing some campus marketing stuff, so we should chat afterwards. If anybody has any questions, that's all I got.
So I know a lot of us are graduating, and it's like a very sweet time. How do you realize when, like, you need that as a not failed project, but then you don't want to work on it anymore, versus like having to keep going?
Yeah, great question. So I think there's a couple ways. I think in the beginning, if you're an experimenter and not an expert, you're not running on a free flow schedule. So if you're a scientist, you're running according to a schedule, and you have to be able to set those time limits. If I don't figure it out in this amount of time, we either have to change the experiment, pivot, or we have to move on to something else. And that's really what we did with this, right? We gave ourselves until Valentine's Day, and we're like, okay, I don't have a job anymore, I'm going broke. If we can't figure it out by this big deadline, probably have to rethink what we're doing in some capacity. But I think the other part of that just goes to the point of you have no idea what else you want to work on. If that's really what you want to work on, and nothing else is calling to you, I would say go for it.
What do you look for inspiration now since that time period? What are some of the things you turn to recently?
Yeah, so I definitely think technology, right? Like I think looking for products that like turn you into a superhero, right? Like something you would never be able to do, and then like you download an app or be able to go to a website, and like your world changes a little bit. Like for me, Snapchat Stories is one of those things, right? Like it's a teleportation, and like you're at Mardi Gras this weekend, you're at some Burning Man out in the middle of the desert. So I think that's a big place, and then I think also getting completely offline, because I spend so much of my time and energy on time, and just exploring new cities and meeting new people, and just like observing the world, like with no agenda. I think that's at least for me where it tends to